So I was like, I don't want to hear my voice anymore.
Oh, really?
Is the live stream started? Okay. Yeah, it
People.
started now. Should I say
The, is the live stream started? The live stream has started. People are sitting down. We're just going to comment on everything that everyone is doing until everyone shuts the... No, just kidding. That's weird. I haven't been in a big group of people for a long time, so...
Do I sound okay?
You
Can everyone
sound
hear
good.
me? Do I sound good? Can I start greeting people? Is everything ready? So, hello.
Hi.
Hello. How are we feeling tonight? Okay, are we feeling good? I think we're feeling good. I know I'm feeling good because I now have another fantastic book written by a trans person of color to put on my bookshelf and promote to literally everyone. So, you are? Oh, well, I've already started, so. I'm Shiri. I'm going to be your host for tonight. I am Sabahs Friend. I do some other stuff, but that's besides the point tonight. And I have a question. Do we love trans authors up in here? Okay. Do we love Muslim trans people up in here? Okay. I got one more question. Do we love Sabah up in here? Okay. Amazing. Oh, I love this. It is so electrifying being in a safe queer space after the couple of years that we've had. I don't know if you've experienced the same couple of years that I have. But there have been some ups and downs and some isolation, but also solidarity. And it's definitely been a bit of a roller coaster. And it's just so lovely. We can open the year together, being beautiful queer people of color and celebrating our dear friend and comrade, Sabah. So before the fun can commence, we got to go over some housekeeping, and safety is also fun. So firstly, what? Are you Okay, before I do that, Sabah is going to say a few things. So I will hand it back to Sabah. Sorry.
No, thank you so much. I just really wanted to start off saying hello and also starting with a few thank yous before we get to the very highly anticipated housekeeping. So, hello, my name is Sabah. My pronouns are he or they today. Like, hey, did you see Sabah today? Yeah, he was great. They were giving me some Prince vibes. It's,
Yes.
simply
yes.
a serving suggestion for the pronouns.
Amazing.
Please ask, don't assume, introduce your pronouns, otherwise I'll hit you with the head with my book, and you will deserve that. Okay. I really wanted to just to start this whole evening just with a massive thank you. First, a thank you to Aisha, who is somewhere here, and Glasshouse, the counter press, the common. I keep getting confused, but the bookstore, the bar, and this lovely venue here. I don't know if you knew about this, but it's been open only since August. It's an LGBTQ multidisciplinary venue. It centers LGBTQ people and people of color, and it was just like this is where I wanted to start. So a huge thank you to Glasshouse. Thank you to everyone who's on the live stream. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's far to travel, and also just it can be just a bit fun to just join on the live stream when you're doing the iron. I never iron. Why did I use that example? Thank you, Mum, for ironing my suit yesterday. Please do. Let me just try and move this up a little bit. Okay, thank you for everyone, and please do join the conversation on Insta, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, ShikShock, Bebo, whatever.
Oh my God, Bebo.
Hashtag supporting TPOC or hashtag supporting trans people of color, but that's a bit long to write, isn't it, really? And thank you to everybody who's here in this room, who's upstairs in the bar watching too as well. You're my friends, you're my family, you're my colleagues, my supporters, my allies. It really means a lot that you're here, and I really just wanted to start this with you. So thank you. And I must tell you that all your support has worked, because we actually sold out on pre-orders.
Yes.
Which is incredible, right? That was like last week. Like this week, I knew this because I was trying to get myself some books. And they were like, "Oh, we sold out." We're giving the last 40 to Glasshouse to here. So so get one. They will be reprinted at the end of January as well. So for my next couple of events, there will be books. There will be books. And some other indie bookshops as well, local ones. Hit them up. They still have some copies too. So I've been asking myself over the last couple of weeks, and I think somebody else asked me as well, like, okay, well, what do you want from this event today, this event tonight? And honestly, it's really just to take a moment. Like the last 2 or 3 years have been a lot, and I just want to acknowledge everything that I've done that's gone into this book. I'm also aware of who isn't here today, and I just want to mention my friend Neela, someone who's really dear to me, who some of us here also knew. Unfortunately, they never got to hear about my book, but I know that they would have been embarrassingly proud of it.
Yeah.
And someone else is my dad. It's been a tough couple of years, and honestly, I just would have loved to have seen this book in his hands. And you know, if he was here, well, actually, I don't think he would have come because he's not very sociable, and he doesn't like traveling. He gets bored. He would just be at home watching 2.5 Men, texting me, "Sabah, when are you coming home?"
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of name what's also here for me today. I just also want to celebrate, as I said, the start of something with people that I love before anything else, before this whole thing kind of like sets off into the public sphere. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. But, you know, I couldn't do today alone, and this is why Shiri, the most wonderful person in the world, is here. Incredible human, a creative, a writer also, a cat parent, and my best friend. I'm honestly so proud to call you my best friend, and it really means a lot that you've done this with me. Thank you.
Stop.
No.
No, stop. Seriously.
Housekeeping.
I'm so sorry for starting housekeeping before you could say all of those wonderful words. Now, housekeeping. So we actually have a celebrity in our midst tonight. Her name is Miss Rona. And you might have heard of her. She's iconic, impactful, unforgettable. And because of her, if we can, let's just try and spread out as much as possible, as I can see is really successful. Because you guys are literally on top of me. And I love that. It's been so long. So if you're not eating, drinking, or public speaking, try and keep the masks on. But if not, I'm not going to force you to. And just use hand sanitizer, all that fun stuff. And I think everyone here has done a lateral flow test, and I think they've all come back negative. And if not, then shame on you and your family. No, seriously. I think everyone here is like double jabbed as well, but Sabah and I are triple jabbed because we're Aries, we like to stay ahead of the game, you know, we're like the first, we're trendsetters and all of that. So we've also got accessible toilets upstairs for everyone who's watching upstairs. Unfortunately, the downstairs section is not wheelchair accessible, and we're currently live streaming, so everyone say hello to everyone upstairs. Woo! A little bit louder, like they're upstairs. Like, there we go. Okay, amazing. So if you haven't already, then Sabah has got everyone a drink on them. So
not everyone, because I didn't anticipate this many people coming.
Oh my God.
And I'm crowdfunding for a reason. If
Sabah loves you enough, then you will have a free drink.
But everyone will get a samosa, and I feel like that's more important.
Yeah. So exactly.
You.
Samosas are so much better than alcoholic drinks. I mean, let's be real. They're so much more satisfying. So yeah, the samosas, we have some nibbles in the back, and you can also bring your own food, but I think a samosa is a lot more satisfying than a sandwich, personally. And also, most importantly, you can buy Sabahs Book supporting trans people of colour upstairs in the bookshop for $16.99. There's no cash payment, so it's all got to be done by card. And you will be doing book signings. Is that downstairs or upstairs?
Mum says it's upstairs.
Thank
so
you,
it's upstairs.
Auntie. Thank you.
7:15, oh.
On schedule, and you can take photographs with Sabah as well. So that's all the housekeeping done. Have I still got you engaged? Are you still here with me? Amazing. Can I get a little whoop if you're excited to hear everything? Okay. Amazing. I am pleased with the reception. So I'm going to pass the mic to Sabah with permission. And I would like them to say a few words for everyone. So can we get a massive round of applause for Sabah, please? good.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
Thank
good.
you. It's not quite the most exciting part coming up. It's announcements. And if you've worked at a youth group before, then you know this is probably the most boring part of the group. We've had complaints from young people. The group is announcements. It's an opening circle, announcements, and there's a closing circle. Like, where's the group? But it's not going to be that boring because these are actually really sick announcements. So, as I've mentioned already about my crowdfunder, but basically my aim is to get this book in front of as many people as possible. I want to create accessible events. I want to create free resources. I want to make an audiobook and podcasts as well. And I just want to get trans people of color involved as much as I can so that we really are celebrating them and paying them. And some of you might know I wasn't successful with funding, which is why I've set up the crowdfunder. This is an entirely self-funded cause campaign thingamajig. So I'm really calling on my community, my friends and my allies to help me out and to donate and share where they can to the crowdfunder. And I think it's much nicer in that way. It means that I'm more accountable to the community rather than institutions instead. So please do share it. I made a QR code. Pow. So you can just scan that nice thing. Oh, where is it? It's at the back. It's on the side. It's by the food. So you will not miss it. Please do scan it and share it where you can. Another thing I wanted to just draw your attention to is this incredible illustration that's behind me. Wow, right? And also that's on some free postcards that I've got at various points in the venue. The illustrator's someone called Black Moody Boy, and they are a non-binary trans Afro-Indigenous Latinx illustrator. They are an incredible person, and one of the things I wanted when I did this book was to get in other ways of expressing ourselves, and art was a really important tool. And once you see their work, you'll know it's so powerful, it's colorful, it just encapsulates everything that I want in this book. So I told them about the book, and this is what they came up with, and they called it Kin, which I think is absolutely wonderful with the byline, "I am because we are," and it's absolutely beautiful. Can we just have a round of applause for this amazing work? Please do find them on Instagram. Their shop link is also on the back of the postcard. When you buy their work, you're also supporting queer youth, Black trans people, and trans women communities in Colombia. So it's a really, really important venture. So thank you. All right. So this next announcement is about, well, I've called it a guest book, and if you're looking for one, you won't find it. At the back of the hall, we've got some bunting and some rainbow lace across the wall. There's a little cards there. There's some pegs. This is my version of a guest book. Yes, I am a youth worker. I'm going to get you involved. There's some Sharpies. There's some card. Write a note. Tell me you were here because I want to remember this. And if you have any messages that you want trans people of color to hear, some affirmations, write them down. I will share this on my socials. I'll put it somewhere where I can share it as well. Or any trans people of color that admire you, just be creative. I want that to be something that we can kind of hold together and create. So please do get involved when you can. Oh yes, I mentioned a podcast. It's coming. I think that's actually all I need to say right now. It's coming. It's a bit of a slow burn at the moment. It's a podcast I'm creating. It's a TPOC, Trans People of Color podcast by trans people of color and centering them. It's going to be called the TPOCcast because obviously the TPOCcast. Thank you. Just keep an eye out for it. Right now I'm having some conversations with some really incredible people that I look up to. I'm hopefully going to be releasing it in the next couple of months. But yeah, stay tuned for that one. I know we all have podcasts now, so got no excuse. Just in last few announcements, I've got some events coming up. So you might have seen on my socials, I've announced an event in Exeter next week. It's on the 27th of January with Book Bag. In Brighton, I'm going to be there on the 2nd of February at the Feminist Bookshop. And I'm going to be taking a break in March, but I'm bad at taking breaks, so I will also be doing a book event. But I'm going on a break in Slovenia, and I'm doing an event in Slovenia, so it kind of counts as a break, right? So yeah, Ljubljana,
hey,
hit me up. I'm going to be working with some incredible trans activists there to have an event around centering trans people of color. So that's in the pipeline. I've also got conversations with Birmingham, Cardiff. Where else? Nottingham as well, bookshops. So yeah, please just tune in where you can. It'll be in person and live streamed as well. So yeah, please do join in. How are you going to stay in touch? I wrote mailing list, but I haven't set that up yet. So social media, you probably all have my number, so just text me. But otherwise, everything is going to be on my website. It's sabahchoudrey.com/link. It's my link tree. Everything will be up there, and I'll be updating it constantly. And I expect you to all remember that website by the end of the night.
Yes.
Thank you. And that was announcements. You survived. Congratulations. Over to you.
Okay, so everyone update your calendars, update your mailing lists, everything, because you clearly have got a lot going on. And we are very spoiled for choice in how we choose to support you. But I would recommend every avenue, of course. So thank you for that. Now I'd like to welcome a few people to say a few words for Sabah, about Sabah, to Sabah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to welcome Sabah's mum to say a few words, Auntie. Yeah, it's got to be you first, Auntie. So if we could, you've already given a round of applause, so that's great. Should I hand the...
Yeah, Mum, do you want to come over that side? If you want to just stand. Come closer for the live stream. Live streaming. Please sit. Hi, Mum.
I didn't really expect
Thanks
that.
for coming.
Thank you. I mean, first of all, I would really like to thank you, everyone who's here to support Sabah too, and they're coming here to celebrate and commemorate Sabah's book launch. So it's lovely to see so many people. Yeah. And to Sabah, I would really like to congratulate you for the launch of your book. This is great achievement. And I know this is supporting trans people of color. It's been an amazing achievement. It's really a much needed resource for psychologists, for teachers, for NHS workers, for counselors, for many more, and who want to make an impact, particularly inclusive practice for everyone else. And I know although we've come a long way in terms of supporting trans people, and I think we still have a long way to go. It seems that things are getting better in terms of supporting trans people of color. But I can see certainly in my practice in the NHS and the impact it has on a lot of individuals, particularly supporting trans people of color. Sabah has been really a natural writer, right from a very young age. I know Sabah would just go in the bathrooms, in their rooms, and spend substantial,
Yeah, I take a book into the toilet. Who doesn't?
yeah, and spending a lot of time in terms of writing stories, and the stories about horror stories, about.
It's not this book. Might be a bit scary, but it's all right.
a lot of detective work, horror story, goosebumps, and there is really a great resource still available. I really wished we had published those books, but you never know. It's ×1, ×2, ×3, any time it can be possible. I think it's never late. Yeah, so could be book 2. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of you, Sabah, for doing this during this very challenging time, especially when we had pandemic. It's been really quite difficult, but I'm sure you will continue. And who knows? Your passion to educate people, to support people, it'll continue. And who knows? It's going to be many more. So this is kind of just the start of the journey, and I think it will carry on. So I would say let's take time, and we need to explore this whole journey. We need to support many generations, particularly young generations. Only yesterday we had an announcement. One of the doctor in Pakistan, who's a transgender doctor, she started to practice, and I think it's time for change. And I'm sure there will be many more successful trans people of color. So it will carry on. So let's together celebrate, commemorate, and just enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Enjoy the day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Mom. Come. Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying those words, Auntie. Up next, I would like to introduce Sabah's twin sister, Farah. So if you could come to the stage and share your light with everyone.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to share with you all my excitement and how proud I am of my twin Sabah to firstly not only have written their very own book, but a book that is key in shining the light to support trans people of colour, and for Sabah to have something tangible that captivates his passions. I can remember since always from a young child seeing Sabah writing a diary, writing stories and reading every day. I cannot explain how proud I am to see Sabah develop from this into an author and so many other achievements along the way. From co-founding Trans Pride Brighton, speaking at TEDx, involvement with the Inclusive Mosque Initiative, winning Future Fighter Award, and all their efforts going the extra mile in LGBTQ youth services. I think we all knew from long ago that Sabah was destined for big things, and just like the very last sentence Sabah has written in this book, this is just the start. Sabah, a huge congratulations, you are an absolute inspiration.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for sharing those words. I think it's so affirming and just positive to see families openly and actively supporting their trans children and their trans siblings. And this is kind of the future that I want to see for all trans people of color everywhere, you know. So thank you so much for showing your support. It's really great. I'm going to say a few words now. I know I'm not blood related, but we share a birthday, so I guess we're pretty much there. So, Sabah.
Shitty.
Sabah, Sabah, Sabah. Hoi, hoi. You were my first real friend when I moved back to London after a painfully white and heteronormative university experience in a town that I won't name. It was Guildford. It was horrible. Okay, God, I can't believe I spent 3 years there. Right, anyway, you arranged one of your infamous Desi Q meetups, and I was the only one who showed up. That was so funny. But I really think that was a wild stroke of luck because I got to know you properly, and I immediately saw you as a compassionate, dedicated, and beautiful person inside and out. You were there to hold space for me as I figured out my gender and sexuality through a series of trials and tribulations after I felt so isolated from the wider world because of it. And we've seen each other go through some ups and some downs, some life transitions, some personal transformations, and you've really been on this trajectory of success that is bolstered by your innate activist nature. Everything you do, from your dedicated youth work to your ambitions to be a queer and trans counsellor, is about holding space for others. And you do that so very well while striving towards self-actualization. And you inspire me to be a better person every day, to sometimes decenter myself and look at the bigger picture, to hold the suffering of others in a way that doesn't necessitate overwhelm, but to hold it in a way that invites introspection and curiosity. You allow me to play, to access my inner child, and I am so proud that I get to celebrate with you here today as you achieve yet another massive milestone. This book is emblematic of your life's work to date, and your drive to share knowledge and resources is a huge powerhouse in the community. And for that, I thank you. Oh my God, thank you, Hanita, you're amazing. Have you thought about working as a technician? Because that's great, I didn't even notice. So we've all been talking about the book, but I think we kind of want to hear something from the book, right? Do you want to hear a little something from the book? Yeah? Okay. So Sabah is, I think, going to share something now. So take it away, babe.
All right. Actually, I need to come clean about something. I haven't. Sorry, this is off the script. I've lied to everyone. What? I've been saying this is my first book, but actually, it's not my first book. I've actually self-published before. I think it might be best if I just show you. Okay, just hold on.
That's what that was.
Here it is. Animal Antics.
Yes.
It's Animal Antics. It is hand-bound. It is custom printed, on Microsoft Word art, of course. It is written by me, aged maybe like 7 years old. I found this under my bed. It's an anthology of jokes by Sabah Choudrey. When I was younger, I used to, me and Farah used to go to the car boot sales, and I would just buy like joke books for like 50p a quid. When I was young, I was fat, I was chubby, I was a bit of a loner. I didn't really know how to talk to people. I didn't feel sociable, and humor was my way of doing it. I was like, well, if I can't talk to people, then I can tell them a joke. So I remembered jokes, so I loved them so much I wrote them down. I typed them out, I printed them, and hand bound them in this Animal Antics book. It's if you can't see, there's a mallard, there's a tiger, there's a kangaroo, frog, cat, snake, dog, lion, and Animal Antics is it's like 3D, like shoom, Animal Antics by Sabah Choudrey, shoom. That's it. Does anybody want to hear a joke? Okay. All right, I haven't actually looked in this. What's a crocodile's favorite game?
What is a crocodile's favorite game?
Snap. It's Snap. For a kid it was funny, so. Okay, another one. What did the traffic light say to the zebra crossing?
What did they?
Louder? Don't look at me, I'm changing. Don't look now, I'm changing! Sorry, I don't know why I get so fresh when I'm up here, but this accent just comes out. Anyway, so there you have it. I'm a fraud. This is my first book. It's no one should ever see this.
We all have.
If you do want to have a flick through, you're welcome to come. Yeah, of course. There's a neon strip of tape holding the book together. There's a plastic cover on the front and on the back, because Dad taught me well. This is how you present your work, Sabah.
Oh my God. Okay.
pull the mic if you want everyone to hear.
What's the biggest species of mouse in the world? A hippopotamouse.
Yeah. I was a hit with the aunties and uncles.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I can also read something from from the book that you're all really here for. Should we put it away?
So
I will take that off you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. So yeah, here we are. Yeah, this is the first time I'm reading this out loud to anyone, which is it's kind of awesome. So thank you all for being here and listening. All right. The moment I spoke and wasn't heard, this book started writing itself. Trying to be seen was something I did alone, and for a long time, I didn't expect anyone would join me, let alone ask me to speak up. As difficult as those first realizations were, as the only trans person / person of color in the room, I was still there in that room as a trans person of color. I refused to not exist. I had the privilege of energy, time, and safety to speak openly, so I spoke. Loud. There was a turning point when I realized that speaking about all the ways in which I was oppressed was not helpful anymore. It didn't help me recounting the so-called tragedies of being a queer Muslim, the anticipated tales of the everyday harassment I get for being a trans person of color, all in front of people who have more in common with the perpetrators than with those who have actually helped me. This didn't help them either, you know. Simply listening to my oppression does not make them a better person. And we already know that oppression exists. Events and blogs spotlighting marginalized people wouldn't exist if our experiences weren't already in the dark. I heard the same questions. How can you be trans and Muslim? Have you experienced prejudice in your community? What did your parents say? Which all affirm the notion that I can't be Muslim and trans, that I should expect to face prejudice within Muslim and LGBTQ communities, and that my parents had something negative to say about all of it. So I decided that I would change the way that I spoke about myself. It's not enough to learn about oppression and disempowerment, about the barriers that we face on institutional and micro levels. We need to learn about how we participate in oppression too. We need to learn about the powers that we have that can disempower others. We need to learn about the ways we put up barriers on those institutional and micro levels, because oppression does not exist without power, and inclusion doesn't happen without exclusion. An audience can connect with the story and feel empathy for me having gone through hardship, but often they remain in their seats as the spectator. It's only when we learn about our role and how we participate in that story that we can position ourselves as the antagonist, protagonist, or sidekick. We start to see ourselves as part of that story. It's not our story, but we have a role. And our story must always be told. This is what we do. Trans people of color. We continue to exist. We persist. We will continue to build spaces where we can do safely and comfortably when other spaces turn us away. We will continue to model what it looks like when our community is cared for. Through protests, pandemics, uprisings, and rulings, there is so much our communities have been through and can get through together. We build our homes with full hearts, not four walls, and we rewrite what it means to feel safe as trans people of color through the internet and global unrest. We do this with patience. As trans people, we learn to wait, to hold ourselves and each other whilst nothing changes. And with power, as queer people, we make waves. And when nothing changes, we resist, we protest. We know how to make change happen. And with passion and compassion, as people of color, we lead each other by the hand and we lead movements by the heart. All our communities are richer because of the contributions of Black trans people, trans women and trans femmes of color, trans people of color, faith and religion, neurodivergent trans people of color, and trans people of color with disabilities. We can learn so much from TPOC, his, her, and their stories. So let's make sure we do. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I've got a few questions, if it would be okay to ask you. So I'm just really curious to know when this all began. So was there a sort of tangible moment in which you were like, I gotta write a book about this shit, you know? Like, did anything change? Like, I'm just so curious to know that.
No, there was not one moment where I was like, let me do this really difficult thing and write 50,000 words. No, it was a real slow burn. And but actually it was only just putting, you know, on paper all the experiences and things that I have been carrying and thinking and feeling already. So it kind of just happened. But I was just sharing earlier with Frankie, it was actually about 2015 when I first had the contact from the publishers, Jessica Kingsley Publishers, Andrew James, who's the editorial director, who was like, hey, like, we've seen some of the stuff you're writing. We would love this to be a book. And I was like, no, that sounds hard. I don't do that. So it took about, I think, another year before I actually was like, okay, let me think about putting a proposal together. And let me just say, I realized that I have been in such a lucky, privileged position where publishers approached me because I know how hard it is to get things like this published, especially for marginalized people. So, yeah, but I don't know. I just didn't believe in myself. I was like, me, a writer, writing a book like that people are gonna read? Like, no. I was doing a lot of public speaking and some blogging at the time, but I just didn't. I don't know. I think I went through so many. I guess like imposter syndrome, right? I could think we hear that in our communities a lot, and a lot of self-doubt because I was just. Yeah, it felt too big for me. I didn't even tell anyone about it. I think I told like a few people that this had happened, and then it took me another year to get the proposal in, and even then I just couldn't really start it. And then I think I've said to a few people, I probably started writing it like probably in the last like 9 months of my extended deadline. But you know, it's just been really hard. I think it's been quite an isolated journey. I've isolated myself because I've just been like, who am I to write this book? Who am I to talk about all trans people of color? I'm just one person. But I had some really helpful conversations with some of my friends who have named in the acknowledgements that just enabled me to feel okay about being just one person writing about this community. And also the dope people that I brought into this book, like just the number of people who are the voices that are in there, you know, through poetry, through art, through tweets, you know, it's just helped. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, but yeah, definitely not I never thought I would write this. It's just kind of been this beautiful thing that's happened.
Yeah. And like all good things, it takes time, you know, and it takes like the highs and the lows. And, you know, 7 years later, here you are, just with copies of your book, your beautiful book with a beautiful illustration in the back, and all of your fans, supporters, family and friends cheering for you. And it's just so warming to be a part of this. So thank you. So you mentioned that all of these dope people that you brought into the book. Is there a sort of person or group, like who informs or inspires your practice and your activism?
Yeah, that's such a cool question. I think so many people, everyone in this book has informed my practice. They're in it for a reason. Actually, one of my favorite parts about this book, this is a sentence you'll never hear me say. One of my favorite parts about this is the references, because it's just a list of awesome people. There's, I don't think there's one like straight white cis man in there.
Nice.
It's just like amazing, like black people, people of color, women, queer people, trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming people, people of faith. It's just all these marginalized voices who are just there. Like there's no margins, like they're just there. So it's everyone in there has meant something to me. And another source of great inspiration has been young people, like the young people I work with. I don't often, I feel like it, I want to take some time to actually reflect on like my years of youth work, and actually the trans young people I work with, the trans youth of color, like have just been so inspiring to me. Like I've learned so much about myself through youth work, and that completely informs my practice. You know, it's youth-centered. I've learned about my own power, which actually has been so important. Like that. You know, I can be a good role model for power. Power and being in a position of authority doesn't have to be a negative thing. And just being so aware of that by young people challenging me and just being honest with me has been incredible. So shout out to trans young people. Like I wouldn't be the person I am today without those interactions in that way.
Amazing. So last question from me before I open it to the floor. Are there any other projects on the horizon? I know you've kind of told us about the podcast and the tour and everything, but do you have anything else that might be coming up? I don't know. It's cool
apart from publishing Animal Antics, I do wanna keep writing. I'm sure some of you know, most of you know here, that my relationship with my dad has been one that's been very, very special, and it really has meant a lot to me. You know, caring for him, and just it's really changed my life, and you know, as has his passing, and I want to take some time to write and express what it meant to me. You know, talk about grief, and because our relationship touched so many parts of myself, like you know, we touched on faith and masculinity, on gender, and everything. It's just that story's kind of there, and I'm just waiting to see when it feels right to start doing that. But that is something I really want to explore and dive into this year. But honestly, like the biggest project this year is actually rest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I've been really lucky in at my youth work with Colours Youth Network and Gender Intelligence to be able to take rest and take this 6 months of unpaid leave to do that and to have their support. I know some of you are here today, and it's just been really helpful to be like, yeah, I do need rest, and it already feels good, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's really work on this and make space for that. So honestly, yeah, resting.
I mean, it's
That's
the
just,
best.
yeah.
And traveling.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think we've got time for a couple of questions as well. Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask Sabah? Anybody?
You can have more than one samosa, don't worry.
Thank God.
Hey, how should we do this?
Yeah, how should we do this? These microphones are wired.
Do you want to come up here? Okay, and then we can repeat the question. Thank you.
Sabah, one of the things that our community has a hard time with is we start things, but we have a hard time finishing them. I can think of nothing harder to finish than a book. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you finally said the end instead of finished? Because a book can be edited. What was it like to just set it down and say, I'm ready to let go and put this out?
Yeah. So the question was, Ray was just saying about how hard it is to finish something once you start it, and how did I know when this book was done, essentially. The word count helps. The word count was my finishing line. But it's such a good question because honestly, like part of the self-doubt was I just kept getting into like holes of like, oh, but if I talk about this thing, then I have to talk about these 3 things that came before it. But then if I talk about those things, then I have to talk about the other 6 things that came before it, and that informed it. And then I was just like, wait, what am I doing? So I think just returning back to myself and just being like, okay, like what am I actually writing? Who am I actually writing for? And what is my responsibility in this? My responsibility is not to give a history lesson. My responsibility isn't to talk about all these other complex things which I don't understand. That would be disingenuous. So I think just being really, just really like honest and accepting myself that this is where I am and this is all I want to do, and that's okay. And you know, it's never finished. You know, I think there's always going to be more, and I don't want it to feel like a finished product as well either. There's going to be stuff I've missed out in here, and I look forward to those conversations. People are like, hey, what about this? And I'm like, yes, like let's talk about that then. Let's go there. Let's amplify some other voices, or let me do some figuring out where I missed that out. But yeah, I'm also really bad at endings. I'm so bad at endings and finishing things. So I think I literally just one day I just stopped writing. But thank you so much for your question. I hope that helped. Yeah, Jason.
I'll speak loudly as well. So obviously with the youth work, we carry a lot of secondary trauma. I wonder how you took care of yourself while you were working and also writing this, because obviously writing it is a whole process of going through your experiences, other people's trauma as well.
That's a really good question. Jason's asked, working with young people, you also experienced some secondary trauma, and how did I look after myself whilst, I guess, doing youth work and also writing this book, which also, of course, like brings up a lot as well. Yeah, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was my colleagues and my friends who I work with, who are in my youth team, my supervisor, the whole kind of structure, organizational structure. I mean, I think in the last couple of years, we really took a hard look at like what does self-care look like for youth workers in our organization. And for me, I felt like a lot changed, and that enabled us to really be more, I guess, vulnerable and like support each other and be more open with each other to do that. So I really benefited from that, being able to just, I think I just, I mentioned it. It felt like it was quite isolating, but the moments which I talked to other people were the moments where I was cared for, because I can't care for myself whilst I'm writing something as big as this, because I will, I'm my own worst enemy as well. There's that inner critic or saboteur that's in our head as well. So definitely talking to my colleagues. But I don't think I would write it in the same way I wrote it last year again, if that makes sense. Like I think I really work too hard on so many things, and I thought I could do it all, and I mean I can, and I did, but I don't want to do it all to the point of breaking myself or burning out. So I think, and maybe I think I just should have given myself permission, like I can actually slow down, and I think that's maybe what doesn't help is that like feeling, which does come within youth work, and it's like this is urgent, this is important, safeguarding, and this is an emergency. So I think just being able to, I guess, just try and really feel what is important right now. Is this book important? Is this book a safeguarding issue? I hope not. And where am I within this as well? And with youth work, like we can't do it unless we're well. So it really is about us, paying attention to what we need. Thanks.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
No, thanks.
I think we've got time for one more question? Yeah, I think we've got time for one more. Exactly, we've got time for one more. Auntie, please.
I think I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Leading on to that question. These 2 years have been particularly very difficult, particularly for Sabah, gone through the loss and throughout the pandemic. Then how did you manage to still continue suffering the loss as well as many other losses and pandemic? Ali Williams has had this beacon of hope that she will continue to work with younger generations, and I think your work with the youth group is been quite beneficial. I don't know how you would want to continue to take that forward and reflect on how it has been quite a traumatic experience indeed.
So a question for my mom about just reflecting on the losses that I've had in the last couple of years and how I can take that forward. Yeah, I mean, I think part of me taking this 6 months off to focus, yes, on my book, but also on myself, and like actually have that time to reflect on that loss. Like I think in the pandemic, everything felt urgent, everything felt really weirdly hyper-connected and also really isolated, and for a while things just didn't really feel real, like happening, because it was the same. I was sitting in the same room, the same the same desk, the same position every day, and things just felt really, I kind of felt disconnected. So I think this time is part of me to try and like feel that loss and in a way that feels good, where I don't have to I guess hold space for anyone else. I think I'm just trying to hold space for myself right now. So I mean, I haven't had much time to reflect on loss, but I'm making time for it now. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really good. Thank you so much. So many inspirational answers.
I don't know. I did see another hand.
Yeah,
but,
another. Yeah, Z, please.
As your mom said, this is such an important resource, I think, for every sector. But I guess I'm interested to know how you decided that this is what you were going to write your book about.
Good question from Z. Saying that this is quite important. Thank you. And how did I decide this is what I was going to write my book about? I didn't really decide, actually. I think I'm thinking back to, so before this book came a little free PDF guide that was called Inclusivity, Supporting BAME Trans People, because I used that back then, it's fine, we change. And that was in 2015 with Gender Identity Research and Education Society. They commissioned me to write this booklet, but I don't know. I mean, these things, like, they felt good at the time, but honestly, like, what I'm saying, like, why I'm asking people to include us it comes out of desperation. And I talk about this a lot, like, I call myself a reluctant activist because, as a marginalized person and as marginalized people, I think we are pushed to do stuff for ourselves and to make change and to create space and build safety for ourselves reluctantly, because we're just trying to survive. Like, we're just trying to, like, get access to the healthcare that we deserve, or go to a place and not be harassed. So that's it's reluctant, and it comes from a place of desperation because there's nothing out there. Like, it's like, oh, I have to do this. So decision, I don't know. It kind of comes into it, but it doesn't. It's desperation, but ultimately it's for myself. Like, I needed this book. I needed to write that guide. I needed to tell people and see them do things just to include trans people of color, because I needed to be included and seen and felt and heard. So, yeah, drive.
Okay, amazing. Thank you everyone for the questions. Thank you Sabah. Thank you Aisha. Thank you God.
Thank you, Shiri, for
Oh
being
my
an
God, yeah,
excellent
thank you.
co-host. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, stop. Amazing. So I think that wraps up everything in terms of like stage and audience people being there and stage people being here. So I think we're done now with this dynamic. We're moving on. We're being fluid. So yeah, like I said, you can buy the book upstairs, and Sabah will be signing the book upstairs as well. So get yourself a copy. Get it signed, get a photograph, get a samosa. Auntie is
Please
reminding
eat the food.
you.
I am not taking this food home with me. There's some gluten-free stuff. There's some sweeties. There's some samosa. There's some chicken sandwich. Mum, we went shopping
They look
yesterday and he bought
amazing.
more food today. Like, this is Desi culture. It's like, no, it's not enough food. Our guests are gonna leave hungry. We don't want that. If you bought a Tupperware box, get it out
Yeah.
right now.
If you have
I know you've got
pockets.
some dabba, some tubs or something on you.
Yeah.
Eat the barfi,
There's
please.
barfi as well. So if you
Yeah.
also have, if you don't have Tupperware but you have pockets, you can just put the food in your
Yes,
pockets.
Josh. Thank you, Josh, for demonstrating.
Yes, Josh, role model. So this room does close at 9 p.m., but the bar upstairs is open till late, as it should be. And I will be there if anybody needs me. So thank you all so much. And thank you to everybody who's watching on the live stream. You've all been amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And speak to you soon.
That's it, yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Let me be nice. For fuck's sake. Like, Sherry, why do you... It's kind of hard to get the... That's like staring at you over my lips. Okay.
You can.
Put that to the side.
No, it's okay.
Be best again.